The United Kingdom's Ministry of Defense latest intelligence update on Ukraine, August 9, 2023. On August 4, the Russian merchant tanker MT Sig was attacked by unmanned surface vessels in the Mediterranean Sea off the coast of Syria. This came a day after a similar attack on the Olenigorsky Gornyak landing ship, and 2 days after an apparently foiled attack on Russian patrol boats while they were likely escorting the Russian merchant vessel MV Sparta IV. Although civilian-flagged, MT Sig and MV Sparta IV have long been contracted to ship fuel and military supplies between Russia and Syria. Since February 28, 2022, Russian military ships have not been able to pass through the Bosphorus, leaving Russian military forces in Syria and the Mediterranean heavily reliant on Sig, Sparta IV, and a handful of other civilian vessels. The attacks demonstrate that unmanned surface vessel operations are increasingly a major component of modern naval warfare and can exploit vulnerabilities in Russia's sea supply lines. The use of unmanned surface vessels allows for more targeted strikes on Russian logistics while reducing risks to personnel. As Russia's isolation grows, their Achilles heel of supply lines from the sea could face further asymmetric attacks. The Institute for the Study of War Russian Offensive Campaign Assessment. Speculation about the Wagner Group's withdrawal from Belarus suggests aspects of the deal between Russian President Vladimir Putin and Wagner financier Yevgeny Prigozhin, following Wagner's armed rebellion on June 24, have collapsed. A Russian insider source claimed on August 8 that Wagner forces are conducting a phased withdrawal from Belarus, busing 500 to 600 personnel from Belarus to Krasnodar Krai and Voronezh and Rostov oblasts. The source said the second phase will begin after August 13. The insider and a Wagner-affiliated source speculated Wagner may be leaving because Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko refused financing when he discovered Russia would not pay as expected. After the rebellion, Putin and Lukashenko allowed Wagner to continue operating in Belarus. The Institute for the Study of War has not observed visual evidence of a Wagner withdrawal from Belarus yet. The insider claimed on August 6 that Wagner forces not deployed to Libya took urgent leave in Russia, with commanders telling fighters to await new orders anytime. Wagner-affiliated sources vaguely claimed main forces will activate in late August. Claims of a Wagner withdrawal from relatively safe Belarus back to Russia, mentions of new orders, and talk of future activation likely mean aspects of the post-rebellion deal, allowing Wagner to operate in Belarus and Africa, have fallen apart. The Institute for the Study of War key takeaways today. Putin likely remains concerned about the threat Prigozhin and Wagner pose to his long-term goals. Putin may intend for Wagner forces to return to Russia to facilitate the group's destruction or restructuring following Wagner's June 24 rebellion. The likely collapse of the post-rebellion Wagner-Putin-Lukashenko deal shows Putin has failed to decisively resolve the Prigozhin-Wagner issue. Defense Minister Shoigu re-amplified rhetoric portraying the North Atlantic Alliance as an existential threat to Russia, attempting to justify the recreation of the Moscow and Leningrad military districts. Ukrainian forces continued counteroffensive operations on at least 3 frontline sectors on August 9, advancing in some areas. The Russian veteran community may be trying to rehabilitate General Surovikin's image following scrutiny over his Wagner links. Marchenkov's recent interview about Surovikin could suggest he and the anti-Gerasimov faction believe Surovikin may return to the front lines. Most Russian sources did not blame Ukraine for the August 9 explosion near the Zagorsk optical plant, instead citing poor safety regulations. Russian forces continued offensives along the Svatov-Kreminna line and in the Bakhmut, Avdiivka, Donetsk-Zaporizhia border areas, advancing in some locations. Ukraine likely conducted a limited raid near Kazachyi Lahari on August 8. Unconfirmed reports suggest Russia may be moving military equipment through Kazakhstan back to Russia. Russian officials appear to be laying the groundwork to justify canceling or postponing elections in occupied territories if Ukraine scores counteroffensive successes.